Today on the channel, it's the return of the Kyle Peterson Top 5 with the bad guy, Razor Ramon. Welcome everyone, Kyle here. Welcome back to the channel as we do another version of the Kyle Peterson Top 5. The Kyle Peterson Top 5, a Thursday tradition now on the channel where I take one wrestler, at least as of right now, and I give my personal top 5 list of my favorite incarnations or favorite figures for that character. And today we're doing Razor Ramon, the bad guy, a wrestler that stole our hearts many, many moons ago throughout different generations even. I personally remember him back in his WCW days. I was a little too young for his AEWA days to really have a remembrance of him, but I definitely knew Razor Ramon like a lot of you guys, and that's where he went off into superstardom, and then later on into Scott Hall years, NWO years, all that kind of stuff. Now this top 5 list today, we're only covering Razor Ramon. Maybe one day in the future we'll do a top 5 Scott Hall, but today we're talking all things Razor Ramon. So if this is your first time to the channel, like I said, every single Thursday, a brand new top 5 list. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on, like the video while you're here, all that kind of fun stuff everybody tells you to do. But make sure you do that. But let's get into it. Let's dissect it. Let's get down to the Razor Ramon top 5. All right, let's kick it off with number 5. Make sure you get your list together and put your list down in the comments below. Like I always say, the hard part is putting them in order. It's easy to just throw off a couple of figures, but once you put them in order, that's where the fun begins. So make sure you give me your list down below. And remember, this is my list. I want to see your list in the comments below. So kicking it off, number 5 is a fairly recent Razor Ramon. It is part of the Flashback Walmart series of Mattel Elites. You guys probably remember this one. But it's a different Razor Ramon than one we've ever got in the past. It has a nice Hawaiian type t-shirt. Like he's down in Miami from those vignettes we saw when Razor Ramon first debuted. He also has the toothpick in his mouth. He has the chains. He does have the Build-A-Figure body lower half, but in a nice pinkish purplish color. So it's really different than any Razor Ramon we got from any of the lines over the years. And we're pretty well represented in different lines in this top 5 video. But this one stood out enough for me. This by no means was very hard to get back in the day. Was this out maybe 2 years ago at Walmart? Like I said, it's the Flashback Elite exclusive line. The set before Harley Hysteria hit. But very cool figure. I always think this one is very underrated, a little bit forgotten in the grand scheme of Razor Ramon figures we've gotten throughout the years, but one that is truly different and sets itself apart, especially on your shelf. With all my Razor Ramones going on, you can't not look away from this one. And this is a customizer's dream as well, as you can use this body for other people out there if you wanted to, and especially the Hawaiian t-shirt. That does make a nice different change of scenery, at least in clothing for your figures out there. But a very solid one, a sleeper one. I'm not sure this one's going to be on everybody's top 5 list, but it just made mine at the number 5 spot, the Walmart exclusive Flashback series, Mattel Elite. All right, we're at the number 4 spot on the top 5 Razor Ramon figures of all time, and at number 4, a bit of a sleeper as well. This may or may not be on your list, depending on your age bracket, but to me, this was a game changer. Walking into Toys R Us and seeing this on the pegs, having no news, no knowledge this was ever coming out, and we're talking about Bone Crunchers. We're talking about Series 1 Jakks Bone Cruncher Razor Ramon. And I got a loose one as well right here. Now, in hindsight, looking at 2021 eyes, is this the greatest figure of all time? Absolutely not. The Bone Crunchers, I will always say, the best playability figures of all time. I don't know, if you'd ever played with these, they just felt right. Everything worked right. The posability, the moves you could do was so far ahead of its time, because before this, you were playing with Hasbros, LJNs, maybe Bendies. Not me on Bendies. But so it was such a game changer. In Series 1 with Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Bret Hart, Diesel, Goldust, Razor Ramon, walking into Toys R Us and seeing these, not knowing they were coming out, it was a game changer. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. I think I picked up the entire set that day. And Razor Ramon was a favorite of mine. Now, looking at it with 2021 eyes, yes, the details aren't there. Yes, it's missing some stuff. One thing that always has been a gripe of mine, not terrible, but it's a gripe, his long gorilla-like arms. His arms go way longer than really they should. But you can look past that when you're playing with these things, when you're in the thick of it as a kid, especially playing with bone crunchers. I was, gosh, I don't know, in my early teens, if at that, when these came out. So I was about done with my playing days, unfortunately. I did play a little bit, but these were more display collector pieces for me at the time. But I did get a little bit of play out of them out there, and I always loved the Razor. A little loosey-goosey. A few of them have wobbly legs and arms, depending on your figure, and that's a lot of bone crunchers were that way. But this one was so far ahead of its time. I loved having Razor and Diesel, and I believe this came out like 96? Yeah, 96. And I remember having these, and then when the NWO hit, shortly after this, of course, they left, go to WCW, I remember playing and using them, pretending they were Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, and using it as the Outsiders and stuff like that. So it was really cool. This was a really fun time to be a collector, especially back before the internet. We didn't really know these were coming out. It was more of a surprise. 96, I think I got the internet in 95, and I must not have been looking for news on this, or I missed it, or whatever. But now everything we know is on the internet. But back then it was a new technology, and not everything was known. There were still the elements of surprise out there. And I will forever remember this Razor Ramon surprised me at Toys R Us one day. So for all those reasons, that's why this Razor Ramon comes in at number 4 on my top 5 Razor Ramon list. All right, we're at the halfway point of the top 5 list. You're getting your list together. You're putting it in the comments below. Make sure you do that. And I think a lot of you guys watching this probably said, where is Hasbro going to land in this? Where is it going to land in the top 5 Razor Ramon list? Well, it's going to start here at the number 3 spot, but which one are we going with? What Razor Ramon will be at number 3? Well, I'll tell you. I'm glad you asked. Number 3 for me is the Razor Ramon Hasbro Yellow Card Razor Ramon. Now, this is the first Razor I got. The first Razor figure I ever owned in my life would be the Yellow Card Razor Ramon. And it was such a great game changer as well. I remember getting him in there and first night taking that Intercontinental title in my Fig Fed playing days. I used him in a lot of different circumstances, a lot of different feuds. So happy Razor got a good body. As all you guys that grew up with the Hasbros, we knew when we got that Rick Rude, Ric Flair, well, it was about Rick's. Rick Rude, Ric Flair, or the 1-2-3 Kid. Obviously, that's a different story. But that mold was terrible. There was no playability. Myself, I did not like the jumpers either. So I was very happy Razor Ramon got a very playable, one of the best body styles in all of the Hasbro. So that really elevated him. If he would have been a jumper, I don't know if I would have played with him as much. I would have played with him. But this was great, and I absolutely love this Razor Ramon. I love it a whole lot. We do know we got a purple version of this as well. I remember as a kid seeing that purple one and passing and buying a different one because I didn't need another Razor. I was fine with this one. Traditionally, I usually do always think of Razor, I think of this outfit. Definitely not his most colorful outfit, but I think it goes back to the first remembrance of Razor Ramon and the first time I had a figure of Razor Ramon, so that's why I always think back to this outfit. But by no means is it my favorite outfit of Razor Ramon, but it always is my first thought, if that makes any sense at all. Another cool thing about this Hasbro was, Hasbro, we did get accessories. You get the Mountie Shock Stick, you'd get Jake's Snake, you'd get Macho Man's crown. We've got chains with him. And I remember using this chains almost like another title belt. As I was playing, you'd have your tag champs. I had my 6-man tag champs when I played with my Hasbros as well, because WCW had that, and I thought that was the coolest thing. It gave guys to be a 6-man tag stuff. I just thought it was really cool. So I'd have that. I had my tag champs, like I said. Intercontinental Champion, World Champion, $1 Million Champion, and then I used this as a title belt, basically Razor Ramon's chains. It was kind of, I think I even used it as like the Brawler chains, the Brawler belt, kind of like a hardcore title. Back before there was a hardcore title, it was, they used to have a tape fist title or something like that back in the UWF days and stuff. I used it as that. It was more of an anything goes type match, and you would win Razor's chains in that. And obviously Razor was a big part of that in my playing days. And that's one of the remembrances of this toy that I think back to, and that's why, it came in at number 3 for me. My first incarnation of Razor Ramon in toy form. All right, we're down to the final 2. Any guesses where the final 2 will land for me? Where will they land for you? Like I always say, put it in the comments down below. But for number 2 for me, we're going to Mattel, and we're going to the Elite lineup, of course. And we're going to Mattel Elite Legends Series 7, The Return of the Legends, with Razor Ramon. By no means is this the most iconic Razor Ramon outfit of all time, but this one definitely pops. This definitely looks different than the rest of the Razor Ramones in my collection. I love the looks of it. Now, this was the Return of the Legend series as a Target exclusive, and they went with Razor. And this Razor was, I don't know if I want to give him the peg warmer, but he was definitely out there. You definitely could find him there. We were all excited as collectors as we were getting the 2 bad guy thumbs. We were going to get that with Razor for the first time. Snafu, whatever the reasoning was it Chinese New Year? I don't know. But whatever the reasoning was, we did not get those thumb hands. And that was extremely disappointing because, as you can see, those thumb hands take this figure to the next level. Figures need expressive hands, especially if that character uses expressive hands. I was doing it with the bad guy hands on it until I got the recent Scott Hall Legends figure. I did swap out the hands, put the bad guy hands on here, and this took that figure to the next level. I strongly recommend doing that if you have that Scott Hall figure. Grab these thumbs, put it on here. It makes all the difference in the world on this figure. So much so it jumped up to my number 2 favorite. As I pulled all these figures like I always do, I put them in order, I sleep on it, I come back the next day, and this one stayed at number 2 for me. It really does make a change here. Still a good figure with this Razor Ramon. Still a great figure with this Razor Ramon. A lot to like. You got the bad guy vest, of course. The razors on the tights. The blue color, the black. Really does a point of difference here on the arm pad there. And then the chains, the removable chains, which we got with that other flashback one we've gotten in the past. But just all-encompassing a great, great Razor Ramon figure. And that's why he came in at number 2 for me. So now we're at the end of the road. Who's number 1? Stay tuned and find out. All right, here we are. We're at the number 1 spot. My number 1 Razor Ramon figure of all time. Maybe this one will be on. I got to think this will be on your guys' list somewhere. I would have to think. I don't know if it would be number 1, but for me, it definitely is. And we're back to Mattel, but which one? We're talking Mattel Elite Defining Moments. Yes, Mattel Elite Defining Moments with the Intercontinental title. Got a loose one here as well. You guys know how I do. I got Double Up Club on the Defining Moments. Razor Ramon in purple. I would say the black gear that I originally, in the Hasbro gear, that when I think Razor Ramon is usually what I think of. That was my first incarnation of him in figure form. All that, I do think of that. But I'm sure a lot of you guys out there think of him in the purple gear. He also had a Hasbro in the purple, as we talked about. But for whatever reason, this one, just the packaging, especially the packaging on this one, but just how he looks and how he comes across in the purple here, even though it's not my most iconic Razor Ramon gear, I find this to be the most visually appealing Razor Ramon on my shelf. This was also our first Mattel Razor Ramon figure we ever got. The Defining Moments, a great series, great figures throughout that line, and this Razor Ramon is one of the top ones of that series. Just a very, very solid figure with this Razor Ramon. Once again, getting the chains with him. The purple, though, just really pops. It pops on a shelf. Really makes it more toyetic, as some people would say out there. Just a standard Razor Ramon that you could set your watch to. Colorful, encompasses a big part of his career. We've seen this throughout many different incarnations, magazines, stuff like that with this Razor, so it is very iconic, but it really does pop the best, and as far as figure form goes, I feel this is his best looking figure, and that is why he comes in at number 1 for me. But what say you? What is your top 5 list? Put it in the comments below. Did we agree on some of them? I got to think this is on a lot of your guys' top 5 list, but I could be wrong. Maybe I didn't make some of yours. Now, remember your top 5 list. This is just Razor Ramon. Scott Hall will be for another day. Razor Ramon top 5 is what we're calling this one. Scott Hall for another day. But let me know in the comments your thoughts. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We got new top 5s every single Thursday, like I said, so you want to make sure you hit that notification bell. We're going to get to everybody. I get a lot of requests out there. Some of these guys like Razor, you don't have a ton of figures, we'll do a top 5 of. But then for special milestones, once we get to 10,000 subscribers, for instance, we'll do a top 10 Ultimate Warrior. Every time we get to 1,000, maybe we'll do a new top 10. And maybe every once in a while, once we get 10,000, maybe once a month we do a top 10. Because you got a lot of guys, the guys you can think of. Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, Ric Flair, the Ultimate Warriors, the Macho Mans, the Hulk Hogans, the Stone Cold Steve Austins, the Triple H's, Rey Mysterios, John Cena's. A lot of those guys you have to do a top 10 because they have such a long career. Kurt Angle I could throw in there. So there's a lot of the heavy hitters. that we'll do top 10s on. But a lot of the other guys, we'll do some top 5s. We'll do some top 5s of some current guys, stuff like that. So we'll mix it up, and eventually we'll do some non-wrestling figures as well. So stay tuned for that as well. So like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on social media at SirPaul64 on Twitter, _Kyle_Peterson on Instagram, and of course, ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. So for Razor Ramon, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.